Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a true disruptor. He is shaking up the compounding pharmacy industry. His incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, if you go back a couple of generations, just about every local drugstore was a compounding pharmacy. And then some of these very famous names that I don't have to list came into the scene. And now we're seeing kind of a resurgence of compounding pharmacies because some of these big famous names that we all know, they're closing down locations. A man who is shaking up his entire industry is in the studio, Prentiss. He's the founder and CEO of Qualthera. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Some people say I have a face for radio, so thanks for taking the chance.
You're a good-looking guy. Let's talk about how you got into this. So you didn't come up through pharmaceuticals.
No, not at all. I'm actually a clinical lab guy by trade. Was a medical laboratory generalist in the Air Force, and just through moving through the healthcare system in different capacities that were of interest to me, I landed into a compounding pharmacy world that I just fell in love with about a decade ago. And what really struck a chord with me was the connection with the community, particularly with the patients and the doctors, really working together to find therapies that work for them. And so I leveraged kind of my compliance background and quality assurance, experience to make sure I could help create an environment where we can make safe drugs for people.
And Donald, tell us about the name Qualthera.
Yeah, so naturally I had to compound 2 names together. So I combined quality and therapy to come up with the name Qualthera.
Outstanding. And you just recently made an acquisition in Victoria. We're going to pull up the website. It is Central Drug in Victoria, Texas?
Yeah, Central Drug, great shop down there. Steve Branch and his wife have done just a phenomenal job, really, again, being embedded in the community, delivering that personalized care that so many have come to love over the years. They've been around since the 1950s. And so I'm honored just to basically take the torch and, keep their legacy alive and really just grow and just share with the world everything Central Drug has to offer.
Sure. And compounding pharmacy has made the news not in recent days just because so many people are trying to get semaglutide, and it's very expensive if you go to buy the big names that we all know. But compounding pharmacies can actually do it a lot cheaper, can't they?
Yeah, and I think the focus is more so on satisfying the shortages, right? And so typically when a compound is involved, it's whenever it's not commercially available by the manufacturers that you're alluding to, or you need it in a different dosage form or different format that is more conducive to your needs. And so, yes, at this point in time, the GLP-1s are something that a lot of compounding pharmacies are helping kind of bridge that gap and make sure that critical medication is in supply.
Give me another example of why somebody would go to a compounding pharmacy versus one of the stores.
Yeah, I love giving analogies, so I kind of think about something in your background, national news, right? National news, just like commercially available drugs, are produced for the masses, right? And it's relevant, it's useful information, but sometimes you need something a little bit more tailored to you. So I'm going to send out a Jeff Crilley to go get some local news for me that is, relevant, whether it be the school bond that's up for election or the local city council or crime in the neighborhood. He's going to dial that into my specific needs. And similar to compounding is we go out, we get those raw materials and make medication a form of the FDA-approved drug without an ingredient that you might be allergic to, right? Sure. Again, specific to your needs.
And one of the things I love about, especially like a neighborhood compounding pharmacy, after a while they really get to know their clients.
Yes.
And they know that, we can't really fill this prescription because this interacts poorly with another
100%.
prescription, right?
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. I've seen so many, you're a guy about stories, and so many great stories that pharmacists tell me that they have, just successes that they've had working in collaboration with other healthcare providers to really take care of the issues that some of the patients had. And some of them are brought to tears telling the stories. That's how emotional and engaged and involved they are with their communities. And so absolutely, you hit the nail on the head with that. It's all about that connection to community, and that's what I want to bring at scale. That's kind of missing on the retail side. But I do want to also draw a distinction between, commercially available drugs and compounding. They're not in competition. It's again, they serve two different parts of the drug supply chain, and so compounding again steps in to fill that gap versus completely replace the FDA-approved drugs.
Okay, let's talk about the future, because you're a disruptor, and I know you see this thing going national, if not international. So talk about next steps.
Absolutely. So I look at two different driving factors when I look at the pharmacy industry. One, that's going to be customization of the drug product or the lack thereof. One, you're going to have your footprint, your physical footprint. So on the Walgreens, CVS ends, you're going to have them on pretty much every street corner, but you're not going to have a lot of customization, right? On the compounding side, typically you only have one or two locations, but a whole bunch of customization. So my big idea is to have footprint everywhere and customization everywhere. And that today I have not seen 50-state footprint presence on the compounding networks.
And talk about the value of having a network where everybody can talk to each other.
Absolutely. So the main benefit is economies of scale, of course, but you also, under common ownership and on the same computer software, you're able to load balance and shift volume around as needed, particularly if the patient is going state to state. You get that brand recognition across the board. So if I know if I'm going to a Qualthera pharmacy, there's a certain level of quality I can expect, turnaround time, level of service, consultation offerings. So you get a lot of, again, the economies of scale and just that brand recognition by having the same brand across the country.
Well, I applaud your innovative nature. So in the final minute or so, why don't you look into that camera on the left and talk to people about why they might want to check out Qualthera?
Absolutely. So I think, first of all, I would encourage you to talk to your healthcare provider if you're a patient. And see if it's right for you. Again, compounding is not meant to replace all your medication, but it's simply mean to an extra tool in your doctor's toolkit to help you make the decision that you need to make to get you your healthcare goals. And if you're a provider, I encourage you to do your homework, research the compounding pharmacy that you would like to partner with. There's a couple of white papers on my website at qualthera.com that just give you a couple of tips of what to look for and questions you can ask your compounding pharmacy to make sure they're right for you.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to leave with the website, which is qualthera.com. The great Donald Prentiss. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.